How good is Tua Tagovailoa? I'm going to be talking about that and more here on the newest episode of Ignite Sports. So here on Christmas Day, the Green Bay Packers played the Miami Dolphins in Miami. The Packers came away with the 26-20 victory, and Tua had kind of a rough day. His stats don't look too bad when you first look at him. 16 for 25, 310 yards and a touchdown. Then if you go deeper into it, those 3 interceptions. That's a huge, huge problem. And I think those yards are a little fraudulent. I'm not saying that Tua isn't good because in that he didn't deserve to pass for 300 yards. I'm just saying that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle have been getting so wide open on some of these deep balls that they really helped out with those 310. There was one pass that Tua had to Tyreek that really should have been a touchdown, but he slightly underthrew it. Still got them down to the 2-yard line. But for most quarterbacks, that play with Tyreek Hill that wide open, he wasn't that wide, but he had significant separation between him and the DBs. And Tua could have dropped it over into Tyreek's hands for 6, but he slightly underthrew it, which resulted in Tyreek being down at the 2-yard line. But overall, not a horrible day for Tua, but those 3 interceptions ended up costing them the game. They were up 20-10 and they didn't score another point, and the Packers came back with 3 field goals and a touchdown. If we look at Aaron Rodgers, this is more what you want to see. For that one touchdown, Aaron Rodgers had way less yards, but he had 2 fewer picks, and that ended up being the reason why the Packers were able to win this game. And if you look at the run game, the Dolphins are having a great run game, so there wasn't that much pressure on Tua in all reality. He only had to throw the ball 25 times. When you only throw the ball 25 times, 3 picks, that's not really okay. The last pick he had that ended the game was really, really bad, and it was not the right read. It was not a good pass. It looked really lazy. So that made me think Tua's definitely not elite. I don't think he's in that conversation anymore. We're close to Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, those kind of elite quarterbacks. But he's not bad. The Tua haters and the Tua lovers are on 2 sides of extremes, and he is not in either of those. He is somewhere in the middle. I'd say he's around a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Here's something really telling about how Tua's day went. He had just a 23.3 QBR. That's really, really horrible. But let's take a look throughout his regular season, look at what he's projected to end up doing, and really try and figure out how good Tua actually is. So, if we look at recently, he's lost 4 games in a row. Now, I don't think that wins are a quarterback stat, because a quarterback does not make or break a team. It helps a ton to have a good quarterback, but I mean, I'm be honest, Geno Smith is not an elite quarterback. Look what the Seahawks are still managing to do. They're making him an elite quarterback, and that's what your team around you does. That's why wins and losses should not be considered a quarterback stat. But if we look at his games, he hasn't been throwing for, he's thrown for a lot of yards, except for that Chargers game. The problem lies with his touchdown to interception ratio. In the last 4 games, where they've lost all 4 of them, his touchdown to interception ratio is 6-5. That is really, really bad. And if we look back when they were winning a bunch of games here on that win streak, look at this. No picks in a single one of those games. 0 picks. And look at those touchdowns. I mean, when the Dolphins win football games, it is often based on a great Tua performance, and it comes down to his turnovers. And lately, he's been turning the ball over more, not throwing for as many touchdowns, and it's been costing the Dolphins. But overall, if we look at the season, he's had a really, really good season. He has. But how much of that is him, and how much of that is the talent around him? Well, he's 243 for 375 on the year. So he's got a solid completion percentage. And he has over 3,000 yards, which is good. It's great considering that he missed a couple games due to his injury. Now his He's got a 64.8% completion percentage. I mean, he's averaging 8.6 yards a pass, which I think is interesting because if you watch Tua, those games where he has big yardage games are games where he hits the deep ball. But he hits the deep ball because of Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. That's something I think most of us can agree on, whether you love Tua or hate Tua. He does not have an elite deep ball. He doesn't. It's not where it should be. And when he does hit those deep balls, it's because he has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and they get open. And he underthrows a lot of them, but they still make the play. So that's not Tua's strong suit. Does that make him a bad quarterback? Not at all. Does it hold him back from being a top 5 quarterback? I think so. I think he's definitely top 10. But I think he's around 10, around the 10 range. He's not top 5. He's not bottom 15. He's in the top 10. But, I mean, if we look at this, his QBR on the season is a 68.9. I mean, do you want that to be higher? You want that to be a lot higher. And with the way the Dolphins were starting, he was playing like an MVP. But lately, he's been struggling. I mean, San Francisco, great defense. I totally understand that. He still passed for 300 yards on him and 2 touchdowns. And those 2 picks against San Francisco, I understand that one. That makes a lot of sense to me because that's against the San Francisco 49ers and the best defense in the NFL. But then against the Chargers and the Bills and the Packers, they're not bad defenses, but they're ones he needs to be playing better against than he has been. So, overall, I just think that Tua is both overrated and overhated. There are 2 different sides of the extreme, and he is not on either of those. He is right in the middle. He is a top 10 quarterback. He's a quarterback that teams would love to have. He's a quarterback that the Dolphins are lucky to have. I do think that the Dolphins would be slightly worse without Tua. However, he's not elite. He's not horrible. That is my final take on him. Let me know what you guys think of Tua. Let me know what you guys think of Tua's game today on Christmas. But yeah, with that, that's all I got. So I'll see you all next time. Peace out.